Two masked men broke into a grandma's Texas home and didn't realize their mistake until they saw the woman. They doubted their decision to break into this old lady's house. They had broken in hoping to leave with Grandma Rose's valuables, but she had something in mind for them instead. Grandma Rose's husband died 3 years ago. She now lived alone in Harris County, Texas, while in her early 60s. The older woman lived a simple life and enjoyed keeping herself as active as possible. Grandma Rose was used to doing everything on her own, but had a daughter who helped her from time to time. Would Grandma Rose be willing to take care of what happened next? Grandma Rose lived in an area with an increase in robbery. All of her surrounding neighbors have taken extra precautions and installed new safety equipment. She felt compelled to do something to protect herself as well, but her budget didn't stretch for something as fancy as a house alarm. That didn't make it easy for her, so what did she do? Grandma Rose had to watch around the clock as she lived alone. She didn't want trouble with intruders or having her belongings stolen. Most importantly, she needed to protect herself from harm. What should an old woman do? Apart from the regular visits of her daughter and grandchildren, she was alone. She had to remain on high alert and have her eyes peeled, but how effective would that be? The elderly woman found that after the economic downturn, she could no longer afford everything she used to have. Having to prioritize her medicine and supplies above everything else didn't make things easy. Due to her financial situation, she was prone to losing her belongings in a robbery, and she needed to do something about it. She would do something that would surprise everyone. She had worked all her life, starting when she was 16. She continued to work until her health issues forced her to retire in her 50s. Working on her little garden in her backyard kept her active, but she wasn't able to do as much as she used to. Busy as she was, she enjoyed her calm and serenity, but soon found herself faced with the exact opposite. If she sold all her wares, she wouldn't make much money, but she appreciated everything she had. They carried memories of their lives with their loving husbands and their home together. When two men broke into her home to rid her home of her most prized belongings, she had the perfect strategy. Her precious treasures were worth more to her than her life. Everyone who knew Rose knew that she was a headstrong woman and loved her for it, but they also knew that her personality could get her into more trouble than they would have liked. The two men sneaked into her house, not knowing what was in store for them. Grandma Rose was not one to shy away from danger, even though she was an elderly woman. Was that wise? Two local men had decided to salvage valuables from the quiet neighborhoods, targeting homes of elderly people. They thought it would be foolproof. They didn't expect what they would find. They would soon be choosing a far more difficult house than they originally thought. They had chosen the wrong house, thinking no one was home or they would manage to overwhelm anyone who was inside. They thought their plans would go smoothly. You thought wrong. Grandma Rose wasn't one to back down and had something else up her sleeve. Targeting your home would be the biggest mistake of your life. The burglars entered Rose's home with a crowbar and slowly pushed in until they reached the living room. They were looking for valuables. At first they thought no one was home, as it was completely quiet, but the two would soon find out that Grandma Rose had prepared something special for them. As soon as she heard them, she decided to take action. Grandma Rose quickly retreated to her bedroom, where she had hidden an old gift from her late husband in a box. It was the thing that would save her. The old woman then went into the living room and confronted the two men. When they saw her coming towards them, the burglars froze in place. They thought the old lady must be crazy. But she had no intention of letting anyone take away her beloved treasures. As Grandma Rose confronted the burglars, she pointed something at them and yelled for her to leave the things and go away. At first, they didn't see what it was, but then they realized the old lady had a gun. The thing is, they were also armed, but when the old lady fired a shot, the two burglars freaked out and started running. The old woman fired multiple shots at the suspects as they fled the scene, hitting one of them. The suspect collapsed and died in the woman's front yard. The other man escaped by jumping a fence, and police subsequently launched a search to apprehend him. Grandma Rose was not hurt in the burglary. The story of how Grandma Rose defended her home made headlines across the country. People who saw the story shared on social media, congratulated the old lady, and said she did the right thing. Rose was still devastated by the event, and she never imagined things would turn out this way, considering one of the burglars lost his life in the process. But if you decide to rob a home in Texas, you need to consider that risk. To protect the privacy of those depicted, some names, locations, and identifiers have been changed and are the product of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to actual events or places, or persons living or dead, is purely coincidental.